What's up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here from GuitarJams.com. Hope you guys are doing fantastic out there. Gonna do a more in-depth soloing lesson right now using a very fancy word, Arpeggio. And I hope you enjoy it. And not only that, it just makes me so happy teaching people, reaching people. The positive energy out there is amazing. And so what I wanted to do for this video real quick is pick 3 comments from this video, and I'm going to give you a free hour Skype lesson. And that's the deal. That's it. I want to reach out to some people. So 3 comments. They don't have to be butt-kissing comments, but just 3 comments. And I will pick 3 people to give Skype lessons to. And we'll see how that goes. All right, this soloing technique, I'm going to talk about a dominant 7 arpeggio. And it's a very valuable tool. Now, if I took a C7 chord, so that's the C note, that's the 8th fret, and I play like a regular major bar chord, but then I take my pinky off. That's called a C7 chord. I could put my pinky right here on the 11th of the B as well. Still a C7 chord. It's also known as a C dominant 7 chord, but it's the blues chord, right? The cool thing about the blues chord, if you're playing over it, is it's not theoretically correct, but you've got that minor pentatonic, you know, for the C blues. But if you look, you know, there's a few of those notes that are actually not in this chord, but that's okay because the blues is cool that way, all right? But another technique, and this is really great for playing over changes, is being able to see the arpeggio, you know, the core notes of the chord, but playing the notes one note at a time. So it gives you this nice little outline, and then I'm going to show you what you know, a couple of examples of how you can use it. So we've got a C7, right? First, let's learn the C7 arpeggio based off of this chord. It's going to be middle finger on the root. So that's called the root. Then we're going to go to the 7th of the A string. That's called the major third of the chord. Then we have what's called the 5th of the chord, which is going to be the 10th of the A string. So those 3 notes alone make up a C major chord, actually. So root, 3, 5. But now we're going to add that 7th tone. It's right here. That note, 8th fret of the D string. Now there's going to be times where you're going to want to use your index there, but then other times where you might use your middle instead. So it's going to be useful either way. So you got 8, 7, 10, 8, 10 on that D string. Now if we start here on this root, which is the 10 of the D, then it's going to look like this. 10, 9, 8, then 11 on that B string. Listen to how that's an octave up. Put them together. So eventually we get to that high E, and we want to play the root, which is going to be right there on the 8. And then this is the major third, which is actually the 12. So it's a stretch. Okay? So a good thing to practice. Now, it's not very musical to just play that arpeggio back and forth, although it is in music like James Brown, I feel good, you know. Dun, dun, I got you. You know. Just kind of plays around with that arpeggio with the horn section. All right, so let's just review that, and I really think it would benefit you to practice this, and hopefully if you stick around here in this video, you'll see a few reasons why. So 12, 8, 11, 8, 10, oh, I'm sorry, 9, so... 10, 8, 10, 7, 8. So one thing is if you're practicing your alternate picking and you go through that arpeggio, that's just great practice. Even if you were, watching TV or doing something else and not even plugged in, this is just great technique practice and little sequences of it. All right, so that's one thing. But now let's look at just one little tiny little thing that we can do to make that into some music. This note is the third. It's also right here. And it's also way up here. What we want to do whenever we're hitting that note, we're going to slide up to it from a half step below. So check it out. That would look like this. Instead we go. So that would be just like that, which is the 6 to the 7 slide. And then it would happen again. You could slide or hammer on with either of these. So right there, we're hammering the 8 to the 9 on the G string. And then we keep going. And then how do we do this last one? We're going to slide from 11 up to the 12. So even if we're descending the arpeggio, we're still going to slide or hammer up into those thirds. So watch. Okay. Another thing is to be able to go a half step above that third, which is called the fourth, but then still add that hammer or slide. So that would be right here on the A string, it would be the 8th fret, then the 6 up to 7. Show you that again, and there's different fingerings that will make sense if you practice them, logically with different fingerings. So one though would be ring finger up here on the 13th, and then the 11 hammered to the 12. And then once we do that, the arpeggio goes to the root. That same root is also right there. So now we're going, oh, okay, we could do that as well. That 7th tone from the arpeggio is right here on the 11th of the B. So this part of the arpeggio is right here on the 12th of the G. So now we have this little box, but it's still that coming from that arpeggio. A little bit slower now. Let's go back to the original arpeggio. Once again, the regular arpeggio. Now with just the hammer up of those thirds. Now with that 4th. Okay, now watch this. The 3 chords of the blues of C would be C7, and I'm going to go, just for ease, I'm going to go all the way up here to the 13th fret. That's the 4 chord, the F7. Then we move it up a whole step to the 15th fret, and that's the 5 chord, the G7. Well, a good practice would be to use these little arpeggio ideas to play over the 3 changes of the blues. Now, blues is a great way, thumbs up, blues is a great way to start playing over changes because the C minor pentatonic is going to, basically you can force the C minor pentatonic over all 3 of those chords and play shredding blues, and tons of rock heroes, guitar heroes have done it that way. But this is just going to build up your musicianship, and if you are striving to sometimes have that more sophisticated sound, I guess maybe a little more jazzy sound or whatever, just a more, you're playing over the chords more, then this is great practice. So watch. So I'll just say the chords. So it starts with C7. Now F. It's all the same stuff that I just taught you. Back to C. Now G. F. C. Did you hear the blues there? So then what you can do is you can pick those little cells out. In other words, just a little piece of it. And I think the best one to start would be like the D, the G string, the D and the G string, which would be for, like... Now, that 3rd is where it feels resolved over the chord. When you play the 4th, if that 4th is tension that loves to resolve to that 3rd or the root. So what I'll do now for those changes is I'll just focus on over the 3 changes of the blues. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I cheated there for a second. Okay, so, a lot of info packed into that stuff, but there's just so many avenues to go from there musically. And I'll give you a little teaser of something you could do next. Is you could take the 4-chord arpeggio, which would be an F7, which I was doing up here, but you could learn it in the same position here. The F note is on the 8th fret of the A string, but that arpeggio looks like this. Okay, so if I learned that, then the same So then you can work on playing those, knowing a few extra arpeggios to play that stuff in one spot. So now what I'll do is I will use those 2 positions now to play over the C blues. Here comes F, back to C, G, I'm going to use that A root up a whole step, F, back to C, F, C, G, all right, it's a rabbit hole for sure. All right, that was a lesson. Thanks for hanging out. Remember, I'm going to pick 3 comments to win an hour Skype lesson with me. Hope some of you will enjoy that. And that's it. Thanks for the support. We'll see you again soon.